Hey guys, it's Dave. It's November 20th, 2018, and we are into really new territory. I'm going to see if I can explain all this now. We're going to do a holiday launch with bonuses, and it's because we're going to open up, it turns out that we're going to be opening up 5 new industries. Okay. Remember, now that we've gotten everything developed to the point that we can create and edit at lightning speed, just with total control, then the more industries we launch, the sooner the better, because all of them need to rise. Google wants to see us get around to them. They want to see consistent work over the first few months, and they're going to just rise us as they go. Now, in the meantime, the guys who do backlinking for the websites, take an assigned website, can go out and start getting traffic to it directly by promoting it in places where people are right now. Yelp, Mana, Merchant Circle, etc. There's lots and lots and lots. We've got all the training for that on the inside, but let me get back to this. For those of you who just simply want to get positions where other people do all the work and you're just along for the ride, we realize that if people try to take these industries on by themselves, it's just costly, right? These are big. It takes a lot of work to get a lot going on. But for example, each of these industries, we're not launching a single website for them. We're starting with 100. Okay, so we're starting with 100 websites for each of these industries. And if you were wondering what these look like, let me just go ahead and point this out, because now we're doing HVAC, right? Heating, venting, air conditioning, flood, fire, mold, and I'll explain the air duct cleaning here pretty shortly. It's a bonus industry. So now we have this kind of control. We're going to do both banner and blocks. Okay. So for those of you who've never seen the blocks templates before, they have banner blocks like these next to the banner. And the purpose of that is to bring things out of the top bar and stuff. You can put more stuff in here. Okay. So when you use this judiciously, people find faster what they're looking for if they happen to be looking on the website. Okay. And that also gives us a very different look and feel. See, this is the full width banner. These banners right here, we can use them for images. We can even use them for looping video. Okay. This whole section here can be used with looping video and images in any combination. Okay. We can even go full screen with it so that the video is the only thing you see. There is no header, no bar. And then it can drag and drop in the phone number to call. And if you're on a mobile phone, you can click that. Okay. Now, having said that, let me just kind of keep going just to make the point. Okay. We really do have a lot of variability and we can generate it at will. Okay. So our websites are going to come off all different and cool and neat and useful and so on. Okay. So this is what we have now, and we can generate this rapidly. For those of you who don't know, we can make these websites every 2 minutes from the time we buy a domain name to the time we submit a finished sitemap to Google. And we have the ability to edit, and that can be for a website that has a front end plus subdomains for every city across the nation. Okay, for as many as we want, really. We could do 50,000. We usually start smaller. Google doesn't want to see too much too fast. So we go the smaller set of service areas, then we're going to build up from there. Now, we just launched this idea recently and it's got a lot of pull. Everybody's interested. And because you guys are working together in a group and you like streamlining the profit direction you want to go in, that really helps us. And the reason that helps us is since we can work for many of you on behalf of many of you in a streamlined way, we've been able to develop like you wouldn't believe if you didn't know. For the guys who've been following us, they understand what we're doing. It's massive. Now, the end result of the day is this. These are websites that we create, and each has a phone number. Okay. These phone numbers feed into a dispatch center, right? These are not the same phone numbers site by site by site. They're all different. And they feed into a dispatch center. And the dispatch center has about 400 people answering the phones. Okay, about 175 on the first shift, 175 on the second shift, and about 50 for the night crew for emergencies. Okay, and they just field these calls all across the nation, and they do it on our behalf. They handle the calls. They contact the technicians locally by SMS. They go back and forth with any instructions. The technician in the field might be saying, hey, I pulled up, but I didn't know if you said it was behind the garage this way or around the block that. And you can see the dispatch tech respond to them. All of this is tracked. It's totally transparent. You can physically see these jobs happening inside the dispatch center, and you can hear the recorded calls. And we know what the general pricing for everything is because there are pricing models for everything. Okay. So the idea is awesome. And we launched it and we started to grow it. And then we got the opportunity to open up more industries while we're at it. And we realized the best support that we can possibly give you is to automate as much as we can and then come back around and say, let's go hard. And that is exactly where we are now. And because it's really exciting, even to the dispatch center who realizes what we're doing and believes in what we're doing, they're the ones just handing us these numbers. They cost like what, $2.50 each a month? And for every 100 websites we launch, you say, hey, we need another 100 phone numbers. Boom, there they are. They say, what are the company names associated with them? We send them a list. That way, when they answer the phone, they know this. If somebody calls on this phone number, this is what they see, and that is how they answer. Boynton Beach AC Pros, how may I help you, right? And then they take care of the guy. Okay, so we have a great deal of support by the dispatch center. They do all the invoicing, they figure our commissions, cut our commissions out to us, and that's great because we have no work to do. All we have to do is get the phone number to ring. Just get people to call, right? Whether they see the website or just see the phone number. Okay. So for the guys who are in it for the websites, here's the biggest, coolest thing. When you're putting money in, you're not buying a website. Like, what if this website happens to be getting much more traffic than this one? You might think, well, if I own this one, then I just bought the wrong website. And that's not fair, right? We're doing it as a big group. So you earn from all the websites, no matter which ones get the calls, you get your share. Okay. Now that you understand what's possible, let me work through this real quick. I built a calculator. I realized I'm always trying to explain to people the numbers. What are the numbers? Well, a lot of people say, okay, but it's hard for me to calculate that in my head or to see it in front of me and understand it. So I said, you know what? Let me build a calculator. Okay. So I put a calculator up. It looks like this on the page. Just click the positions calculator link. It'll download it. It's in Excel. Let me go through it with you real quick. Okay. So you can get it right here. GetTrialLeads.com. This is where we just happen. When we first started that website, it had a different purpose, a slightly different purpose. And so it was called GetTrialLeads.com. But over the years, it's been what, like a year and a half now, 2 years, geez, that we've been building onto it. It's become more or less repurposed, but it still has the same domain name. We use it for a lot of organization. And so anyway, go to gettrialleads.com/calculator and put a backslash at the end, because the way the site is built, it'll try to redirect to calculator.php naturally, and it'll tell you there's nothing there. Okay. Put the backslash to force it to realize, stop at the folder. All right. Having said that, here's the calculator. Okay, and by the way, that's a security measure. It just makes it harder to index certain pages. All right. Now, here's what it is. When you download it and open it, it's going to look like this. That way you can do your own math. Here's how this goes. There are 100 shares for an industry. Okay, typically, there could be more. As a matter of fact, with the bonus industry, there has to be more. You'll understand that later. But if you want to get into any of these industries, there are 100 positions, 100, 100, 100. Okay, because they're full. We're doing whole nationwide penetration, just dispatch center saturation of the market, and pushing it up as hard and fast as we can everywhere, which is pretty amazing because very few companies have the ability to do this. We spent a long 11 years of total development, but all this point where we reached the ability to just mass generate and mass edit completely different web pages, websites. The websites with web pages is pretty new. Okay, so the cost per share is like, it just depends on the industry and what we're doing. In this case, it's $250 per share. We're doing this as a holiday run. It comes with a lot of bonus added to it because, hey, it's the holidays. It's going to be Thanksgiving here in a couple of days. Okay, so we're stepping into it to prepare for next year. Those of you who want to dive in, get going. Okay, let's say you got 2 of the positions, right? Now that means that your total cost is $500, and therefore you own 2% of the project. By the way, that assumes that 100 get bought, right? This is not based on how many really get bought. There are 100 available, but if only like 48 get bought, okay, then you happen to own 4.17% of the project. Okay, so we made 100 available, but just however many get bought, get bought. But they, through this holiday season. But like I said, the bonuses are so huge, you're not going to want to miss. All right, now only adjust numbers in yellow. Okay, just adjust the numbers in yellow because the rest is based on the calculations, the formulas. Okay, now let's just take an industry so that you can understand what's possible. Okay, let's just take one thing. Okay, the home restoration industry, okay, is growing due to climate change. Really, right? A large part of that is flooding and mold. Some more is fire damage, right? It's a $210 billion industry. Whether there's a massive storm, whether there's wildfires that spread, whether pipes get rusty and break, whether the ground shifts, which bends pipes and they break, flooding, mold, fire are really common, okay? And they cause a terrific amount of work, okay? They just do. And another part is HVAC cleaning because it's driven by mold on the one hand, moisture control issues, and well, you could say moisture control issues has a lot to do with it. So it's driven by mold, dust, or pests, okay? I'll get back to that later. Check this out. Just water damage. Over 14,000 homeowners experience water damage every single day. 98% of basements will flood in a homeowner's lifetime. I'm always talking to people about if you want to get into affiliate programs or anything, get into something where if you look across the street at your neighbor and they happen to sit down at their computer and you can watch them, right? And you think, where's the greater chance that you're going to pick something I'm offering? Okay. Well, if you're trying to promote Joe, whoever, John Smith's affiliate program over here, will that guy ever hear of it? Very likely not, right? He may never know anything about it. Same with that guy over there. Same with the guy on the other side of me over there. Same with the guy on the other side of me over there. So even if they're going for affiliate programs, they may never bump into anything I promote on the internet. They're just going to sit down, open their computer, start somewhere like Google or Facebook or who knows where. They're probably never going to see anything I offer unless I am intentionally trying to reach them, like maybe I have them on Facebook, right? So I'm trying to put an ad out and hope he comes across the street and asks me about it. But otherwise, I'll assume he won't ever bump into that on his own, just by chance. What about services? Okay, services. I can ask myself this: will that guy ever find a plumber website? Yeah. Now, if he goes for a plumber website, he'll need a plumber one time or another, right? Everyone does. We all have that, right? We all have probably called a plumber one time or another. We've called possibly an electrician, if for no other reason than to get an appraisal on the electrical system of a house, and you need to call the electrician in to inspect it, right? Or you want to get your house on the market. Everybody calls a roofer, everybody calls a plumber, everybody calls an electrician, everybody gets HVAC done at one time or another. Everybody has mold at one time or another. You probably will have a flooded basement if you have not already. I have, I know. And fire. I've been through a house fire. I absolutely know that all of these happen. All of these have happened to me, and I'm not that old. So what's my point? It's huge. If that guy's looking for a plumber, and I'm advertising for plumbers here in this city, he'll call the first one. The guy will say, "Sorry, we're booked till Wednesday." And was like, "Well, let me call the next one, see if they're available sooner." "Sorry, we're booked till Wednesday." He'll call a few guys before he gets somebody who can come over soon, right? Or he'll do some price quotes. So he's going to call several. He's not looking for a brand name. He doesn't even care about a brand name. He's looking for someone, anyone in his area now who can help him now, right? That's what makes these industries better. So your only question is, how can I get paid in that industry? That's where we actually do this. We get people calling our dispatch center. They dispatch the jobs out, collect cash from that. They get paid. They pay us for bringing the leads to them, right? So they have several people bringing them leads. Our job is to compete with the others. Well, not even. I mean, we're bringing them leads too. But our job is to go as big as possible, as far across the nation as possible, raise cash, roll it back in, make it even bigger. Just keep going. And then in the meantime, it's early. So even before we get a chance to raise much cash, we are launching all of these major service industries because these are opening up to us right now. The more we get on a roll, the better, because this is like a tsunami effect. Google wants to see 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, year and a half marks for how consistent you are with your website. Do you come back and make changes here and there? Well, that's just it. We made it possible to create massive stacks of websites covering the entire nation so that we can have 2, 3, 4, 5 different websites appear on the front pages for different keywords. Longer tail, be the easiest to grab, shorter tail later on. That's the whole 3 months. So it starts off lots of long tail, then shorter tail, then shorter tail, then shorter tail, then shorter tail with every big pickup, right? Huge deal. Now, let me come back to where you can fit in on that because this is exactly what's going on. Let's just look at one of these industries and see how little it takes to make good money from it as we pick this up and make Google happy, because we created all the automation to make this happen automatically. We even got to the point where we're creating an automated SEO method that will we can pre-program it for a year going out. Okay, we can think up each next SEO effect that we want to have. You could say, why don't you just do them all at once? Yeah, sure, we can do a lot at once. But there are like a million things you could do. There are 20,000 things you could do to a page to improve the SEO. So we're going to do a ton here, but we're going to think some things that are cool up and pre-program them to be taken care of every month going forward. Okay, even bi-weekly if we want. And the point is, we can do that with 100 websites that have 40,000 pages each. So we can improve 4 million web pages in any combination as often as we want on complete automatic. One person can do the work. That's what's insane. And that never existed before, but now we have it. And that's why we're doing this launch, because we can control as many industries as dispatch centers are willing to hand us, right? If they can hand us transparency and get us going, right, then we are willing to work on their behalf and do the driving necessary to build this up, to make Google happy. And wham, as this happens, it's tsunami. Everybody gets to retire from this thing if we just keep pushing it. That's it. Well, check this out. $210 billion home restoration industry, and it's growing. Okay. 14,000 homeowners experience water damage how often in the U.S.? Every day. That's 14,000 new guys who get up, go downstairs, realize they're out of milk or who knows what, and they walk down into the basement, maybe, who knows, to get some out of the freezer, like more bread. And they go, whoa, because there's water everywhere, right? That's 14,000 people in the U.S. every day. For anyone who didn't know, that's huge. Damage from water leaks and frozen pipes cause consumers and insurers more than $10 billion every year in the U.S., right? The average cost to repair water damage, and that's where we come in. Every time somebody makes a phone call and says, hi, my basement flooded out. Okay, that's going to be something like $1,000 to $3,000, sometimes up to $60,000 if the damage is severe. All right. The average insurance claim, just so you get like a number, right, for water damage is around $7,000. Something else that's great about this industry, customers do not have a reason to worry about the price like they do with other industries because their insurance will pay it, right? They just need to get the job done by whoever's available to do the work now. Okay, so there you have it, right? So water damage also equals, this is separate, danger of mold growth. Turns out there are different reasons for mold growth, at least 3. Can you name? Flooding, right? You flood the basement, mold can grow. Probably will grow sooner or later, depending on the materials, depending on the humidity, whatever it is. What else can cause mold? Air conditioning systems. Because if the moisture is not controlled for the air running through all the vents, mold grows in the vents, which have a lot to do with air duct cleaning. Okay, so there's a second reason for mold growth. A third one, weather patterns, simply outside, right? Just if it happens to be humid for a while, who knows? Next thing you know, there's mold growing behind some wall somewhere. There's some drafty wall, there's enough airflow or whatever, and there's some mold, right? Or no airflow, I forget which it is. Then there's mold. Anyway, Lots of mold. So mold is an industry unto itself. Air duct cleaning is too, because air duct cleaning, what does that mean? That means mold could be in the ducts, needs to be cleaned. It could also mean dust, just simply, dirt buildup, right? But it could also be um, pests. If they go nesting somewhere along the venting, then and they're going to have nests or whatever it is, there's going to be a lot of mess in there. So whatever you want to see, I mean, the reality check is these are different industries where people sit down, do different searches. Guys who have mold but not flooding are doing searches for mold. Guys who have doing searches for flooding, guys doing searches for cleaning out their air ducts. These are different. These are totally different. If they have mold in their air ducts, they won't look up mold necessarily. They'll look up air duct cleaning. If they have mold behind their walls, they'll definitely look up mold. Okay. And we also got fire damage, like what's happening in Paradise, California. Homes getting burnt, right? And so people, I mean, they can go to the insurance companies and get the money to pay, right? But they have to call around and find who can come over and help them improve the house or whatever it is, right? Anyway, by the way, the average cost to remove mold is the same as for flooding generally. It's about $1,000 to $3,000. Okay, with high costs approaching $6,000. Because mold's hard to get to. You have a lot of rework. You have to like rip a wall open and then deal with the mold safely without chemicals very often anymore. So a lot of blowing and checking and scrubbing with clean materials. Then you have to rebuild the wall, right? There's contractor work in there. All right. So that is a secondary massive income stream. Mold growth can even happen without water damage, right? And so on. Mold's dangerous because of this. Moisture control, HVAC. I pretty much covered all this general stuff, just so you know. HVAC industry is massive. They're probably going to start taking in about 60 billion in revenues in the next 12 months. They've been growing at about 1% since 2008 annually. 28% of the industry is single family homes, right? So more than a quarter of this, more than 15 billion a year, come in just because somebody at home calls and says hi, and they any of it, right? I need my air conditioning maintenance, or I would like to buy an air conditioner, or can you guys clean out my ducting, or can you guys take care of my furnace? There you have it. And the demand's going up for equipment, sales and installation, so on, cleaning, new construction, third of the industry, single family homes and apartments, actually. So apartment owners, are going to make the calls too for their apartments. If we're in on any of that, we get paid. Okay. No, it doesn't matter who calls or what time of the day. If somebody calls at 3 a.m. because of some major thing that's going to cost 60 grand to fix, we make a lot of money because we get a set percentage of the invoice. We get to see the invoices. Okay. We get to hear the recorded calls, see the invoices, and track the conversations back and forth between the dispatch center and the guy in the field. Okay. Often you'll even recognize who the guy in the field happens to be, right? Just naturally by going through the records, you'll just discover it. Okay. So here's the thing. Let me go through the calculator so I can come back around to explain what's going on here, right? So say you got 100 shares, say they cost 250, say you bought 2 positions. Now, what do we say? We said 14,000 people experience flooding every day in the U.S. Let's say 10,000 call about it. Maybe the other 4,000 cases are smaller, or the guy doesn't have insurance or money at the time. They figure out how to turn it off. They figure out how to fix the pipe, sometimes on their own. Let's just say 10,000 calls a day come in instead of 14. I'm saying almost a third of those guys are taking care of the problem on their own. Let's say the average invoice happens to be 3K. Remember, it's probably more like 7K according to what people are turning in for their claims. Let's say the average invoice is 3K. By the way, how often does this happen? Pretty much 365 days a year. Flooding, it's kind of hard to ignore when it happens, right? It's a pretty big deal, and you want to get to it soon. So it's not like people are saying, oh, I'll wait till next week to call. Okay, they usually can't, right? So the market size, if you do the math on this, 10,000 calls a day times $3,000 per call times 365 days a year in the US, the market size is about 11 billion. Okay, just from that. That has nothing to do with mold. That will be the follow-up. Maybe a week or two later when the mold starts to grow after the drying is complete. then there's going to be the same numbers again, basically. Except who knows, maybe half of the people call about the mold, the other half will try to ignore it or not quite be sure if it really is a mold issue, right? So here's the point. Let's say we get, and I mean, that's massive. This gives us so much opportunity. That's 10,000 people absolutely searching that we can be in front of, and they do not care about the brand name. You know how different that is than, you know, a program that you're trying to promote to new people, okay? Affiliate systems are usually best when you have a whole following. And so you go to this one and say, come on, guys, and everyone stampedes over. It was like, oh, we should get into that one. Come on, guys. They all stampede over there. That's awesome. But if you're just trying to reach out to the mainstream, like I said, my neighbor across the street, right? What are the chances he's going to see the affiliate program I'm promoting and get going in it? Very small. What are the chances he's going to look for an air conditioning service some hot summer or when his air conditioning gets old? And I've got pages on multiple websites in the city. He may very well see and call one of the phone numbers that I've been promoting, even though I never mentioned it to him or realized he was looking for it. Okay. Huge difference in total potential. Okay. Especially with the numbers, right? When you think about the numbers. Okay. So, and he doesn't care what the name of it is, other than these just happen to be named for the areas, right? But look at this, air conditioner emergency service, Green Acres AC expert, could be Green Acres, a city. I just pulled up some local websites to show you, right? We're doing these nationwide. We can name them in the subdomains for every local area if we want. It's not hard, it's actually easy, okay? So here's the point I want to make now. Let's say the average invoice is $3,000, right? What does that mean? Okay, let's say it costs the technician really $1,000, right? The rest is just time. Well, the technician gets to keep, and that's where the agreement is, 50%. The other 50% goes back to the dispatch center because they're feeding these guys leads. So the profit that the tech keeps is going to be $1,000. It's probably pretty good because if you worked all day on that job and you made $1,000 for the day, heck, that's awesome, right? If it takes them 2 days, it's still really good money. The profit to the dispatcher is $1,000, and that's great because they have people sitting around all over, you know, all throughout the cubicles. They have the whole place that they're paying for. You know, everything from heating to carpet cleaning to trash to break room to insurance for all the guys. It's their thing. Then we got, so out of that K that they get, the dispatch center, we get 20% of the revenue to start, right? The profit to us is 20% of the money they get, which we see on the invoices, right? And they calculate it for us. We see the calculation for our 20%, okay? By the way, that's like 33% of their profit, right? That's like 1/3 of their profit. That's where it's at until, of course, as we develop and get them a lot more leads, then we can talk more turkey and get that percentage up. Got to start somewhere. But that's cool. Now, that means that we would get like an average $200 profit per job. If we happen to get a $60,000 job in the middle of the night, just doing it this way by the numbers of saying 20 times as much, that would be that. That would be a $4,000 payout for that night. Okay, literally for that one job. Okay, these things happen. Now, cities, towns in the demand range. Okay, let's just say I'm picking some. Let's say as we're creating the pages, we can decide how many cities we're going to launch for first, right? And we have to start with this concept. What is the dispatch center running in all the cities or in a chunk of them? Are they only running along a coastline? You know, so they give us the list, right? Let's say there are 3,000 basic cities and towns in the demand range, because that's what it's like anyway. The dispatchers is anywhere from nationwide to most of the nation to, you know, the parts that really matter, and the rest is just too far out in the middle of nowhere to even bother with. All right, service range. That's assuming, you know, stacks, right? Like how many surrounding cities or towns will a technician travel to from their business to handle a job on average? 15. For like 3K invoice where they spend $1,000 and $1,000 goes into the dispatch center, but they get to keep $1,000, they'll travel, you know, outward through the cities that surround them. Like most towns have a bunch of cities around here. And then there's like a secondary layer. So they'll go that way too, or that way too, if that's what it takes to make that kind of money, right? So again, these yellows are numbers you can change. By changing them, you can make these as realistic as you want, whatever you feel is realistic. You can decide, I don't believe it'll be 10,000 calls a day. I think it'll be 6,000 calls a day. You can say, I don't believe the average invoice is going to be 3,000. I think it'll be 2,500. I don't believe it'll be 365. I think it's going to be 340. You know, fine. Then you can say, out of the 3K average invoice, I don't think it's going to cost them $1,000. I think it'll cost them more. I mean, do whatever you want. If you change this average invoice number, it will change that one. Okay, that like if you said 2,500, right? There you go. All these numbers change as a result of what you said. Okay, so that's all I mean is that the point of this calculator, so you can make these changes based on whatever you want. Okay, if you think it's 7,000 or 6,000 on average, right? Maybe you even know the industry better than we do. It's kind of crazy what's possible here. I gotta pull that thing up. Okay. All right, so let me get back to 3,000. All right. Now, where are we at? Okay, average profit to us per job. Let me keep going here. That's per job, right? We can have multiple simultaneous jobs per day because we don't have to do any phones. We don't answer the phones. We don't send forms anywhere. We don't have to do anything. All we have to do is make the phone ring. That's the end of our work. Soon as the phone rings, they answer the dispatch center. No calls to voicemail, no sloppy hello. The guy on the other end who answers professionally right away and helps get the job dispatched ASAP to somebody local to them with the right details to make sure to get that thing into play. And the whole thing gets tracked from there. Okay, so that's like 3,015. Therefore, how many service areas are there? 200, right? If you have 3,000 total cities and it's broken into groups of 15, that's 200 groups. Okay, so again, you could say, I don't know if it's 15, maybe it's 20, maybe it's 10. It's up to you. Then it'll just change the service areas for you. It's totally up to you, right? Average calls per day per service area, about 50. Why is this not something you change? Because it's based on the obvious math. Total calls per day. If that was 5,000, then yeah, that brings us down to 25. If this is 14,000, brings it up to 70. Okay, so we're just saying 10,000. Okay, there we go. Now, how many days are they open per week? Our dispatch center does emergency for like everything. Okay, so it's 7. The answer is 7. Okay, there could be a case where it's 5, but right now it's 7. All right. So just keep that in mind because that affects, your forecasts for profit, okay? With all of this in mind, right? Then here's a fun question. What is the average market demand that we can capture out of each service area? Like, we're not going to get every call, right? If that guy goes and calls for a plumber, it's not 100% going to go to us. Could be what, 50%? Yeah, I mean, he's going to call through a few guys to get to us for a bid, maybe. So it's possible. But what if it's less? What if it's 20%, right? Well, then that's 1 in 5 guys, right? Could be less, right? Again, it's different guys are competing, different guys are open, different guys are searching in different ways. They're typing different things. Mold cleanup will have us, our result for mold cleanup won't be in exactly the same place as mold remediation. Every keyword's different, okay? Every keyword's different. Mold spores cleanup, vent mold cleanup. I mean, things that people type. So let's assume that we could capture, I don't care, just 1% out of every 100 calls in any one service area, whatever that is. What are we saying? Out of every 50 calls in a service area, the first 50, we don't even get anything. We just get 1 out of the second 50. That's 1%, right? So if we assume that, that sets the tone for these other numbers, right? And you can make this a part of a percent. If you're really dying to know, if you try to do it though, be careful. If you go like 0.1, then you might get it, right? And just watch whether it converts, right? Sometimes people sort of like totally overwrite this and they go like 0.1 like that. There's no percentage sign in there, so misunderstood and thought 10%. Okay, now you can say 10%, right? But I'm just trying to make a point here, 1%. Okay, so then that is half a call per day per service area. In other words, one call every other day per service area that we are dealing with. By the way, you can say if we're starting with 30 service areas, do your math on the 30, right? And of course, as we expand, then we go like 30, 60, 90, 120, but we're going to start with more than that for God's sake. We always start with at least 500. Okay, so now what? Well, we will now because we can. All right, here you go. There's the math. There's the math. Buck per profit share per service area. In other words, if there's $100 profit per day per service area, is just based on how much per job, how many jobs per, what our capture will be, and therefore what our profit will be. And that means if you owned, divided by A2, C1, let me make sure I got this right, C21 divided by A2, yes. Profit per share is $1. That means these, what we're calling shares, they're positions, okay? We don't want you to think shares like stocks, right? Because this isn't an investment, really. This is, I don't want the SEC coming down on me. This is the way we're jointly co-op owning the project ourselves so that we can split the monies that we make from the work we do. Because otherwise, I need 25 grand from you to kick this industry off, right? Those of you who can handle 25 grand, if you want to run in and buy up the whole industry on your own because you just move fast, if you want to run in and buy half the industry because you feel like it, it's up to you. There is no limit or cap to the positions you can buy. All right. So, buck per profit per share per service area, given all of this so far. That means that if you own 2 positions, you're making $2 daily profit per service area that we are active in, right? So then your average monthly profit would be like $60.20 per service area. And if you see that, it's because it's rounding or not rounding or whatever. All right, service areas in play, right? Up to max areas. In other words, how many out of the entire demand range are we handling right now? I forgot I made that separate. So 3,000 is the potential. How many service areas are we working with to start? I just put a number in there, 3. So that means we take 3 times 15 cities, would be 45 cities, and we run out all the keywords we can. If it was mold, it'd be like mold cleanup, mold remediation, mold duct cleanup. It would be all the stuff that we get from research on the keywords, okay? So anyway, then with all these numbers, you know, your average daily profit would be $6, right? So your average monthly profit would be like 180. What I ought to do is put like an average annual anyway, just to make a point, right? So average annual. And those of you who don't know, it's pretty easy. Just click in here and it equals what? Well, 12 times this, or this times 12. So I'm going to go equals 12 and then times, and then click on that and just hit enter. Okay? There's your average annual. Granted, keep this in mind. It's going to take a ramp up. We have to beat this into position and start to beat out our competitors, okay? So it's not going to be like 180 months starting month 1. It won't. It just won't. We have to work it up. But that's okay. That's just the way it is. For those of you that say, heck with it, I want to make that happen, and you can, what do? Sign up as a backlinker, claim a website of your choice, and then run out and start promoting it. Literally, like go put it on Yelp, go put it on Merchant Circle, go put it on Mana. You don't even have to link the website necessarily, as long as you get people to call a phone number. I've had people say, wow, but when I put these up, you know, what do I use for the wording? What do I use for this image over here? The answer is grab it from the website. Drag and drop the image to your desktop, crop it down or whatever, and stick it up there. There's your image. Copy a paragraph from one of your pages and paste it in for the description, the about us or the what we do or the services or whatever. Just take it off your website. and put it up with the phone number, right? So if you can get the phone to ring, you can start earning. You earn 10% from calls coming through your phone number plus your share, whatever that is, of the total that's done by everybody, including you. Okay. That's the cool thing is we used to think people should buy individual websites and we try to work all the websites up. And then we thought that's just kind of weird. It's unfair. You never know what Google's going to say yes to more over here and yes to more over there, and whether there's more traffic over here or over there. Hard to say. That's when we realized when we group the I'm not going to say investment, when we group the funds to pay for the project, everyone needs to cone all the websites together so that the whole project rises together in a batch. So it doesn't matter which of those 100 websites that we're launching here and building as we go, and we're going to add more as we go. It doesn't matter which one or ones in any combination are making money first, second, third, or fourth, because you earn naturally from the whole of it. All of it is pulled together into one. Whether the calls come in through here on a Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or in this city, in that state, whatever it is, it all goes into the same pot, okay, where we earn from. So we handle all of the SEO for all the websites and let the backlinking crew start putting out backlinks to the websites that are assigned to them. They get the most direct benefit that way, and not just that, but the websites are actually interconnected. So link juice flows through all of them so that they can all rise and rank. So being a position owner in any of these is a really good idea, okay? So there you go. This helps you do your math and understand what you're spending, and it's one time. This isn't per month. This is a one-time expense because basically you're just waiting for us to do all the work, and you're being patient so we can get it all done, and you're being patient so Google can say, okay, you guys are still there. You guys are active. I'm going to let you rank more. And then as the next month progresses, okay, I'm going to let you rank better yet. And that's really what Google does, okay? And it's just growth, but there you go. Get into as many of these industries as you can that you care about and get going. Let me show you how to do it real quick. Then I'll do a second video where I break down the bonuses. That way you can go ahead and get these positions right now if you want, because if they start running out faster than I thought, and they do, they have the last couple of times that we launched this, and I've already had people asking me about this one, right? Everybody's curious about the goodies and everyone's curious about the cost, and they all want to leap in. This is that video, okay? So don't lose out because you took too long. But I will do the second video because this one's like 45 minutes now. I'm going to do the second video over the bonuses, but I want to make sure you can get going. So here's what I want to say. By the way, yeah, there's so much more. All right, let me just say this. Here's how you get going. Go to gettrialleads.com/LPE/, right? That is landing page expansion project. Again, we repurposed it for what we're doing today because we just grew up. Our software grew up. Our direction grew up. Now we're working with a dedicated dispatch center rather than through a middleman who works for a dedicated dispatch center. So this is a much better way to go. We make more money this way. Okay, so go there, and that is where you sign up, right? Those of you who've done this already, you don't need to do it again. You are already an LPE owner. Okay, you signed up. So go there to sign up. It'll just take you a few moments. There's not much to it. This is that page. First and last name, email, phone, these are required. Country, just drop down box. Address, not required really, but you can put it if you want. City is required. State and zip, they are required. That we have to have that for tax purposes because this is the state of Washington. Even Amazon.com needs to know your city, state, and zip to sell you anything, whether they like it or not. Now, once you've done that, go and sign in. You would sign in at admin, gettrialleads.com/admin. And it does not need a slash, although if you put one, that's fine. Okay, I'm here. Log in not as a cold caller, but log in as an LPE owner using the email address you signed up with and whatever password it gave you. It will give you a password. I think mine was like this. Yeah. Okay. When you first sign in, you will see nothing here. You'll be on your dashboard and you don't own anything, so you won't see anything. And this is just old stuff that even this account's not in use. This is my demo account. Okay, so when you go there, you can edit your information here. It's kind of cool. You know, you can definitely put all your stuff up, right? And again, it doesn't matter if you notice my password or not because I don't do anything with this. This is just because why would I? I don't need to. But then go to LPE websites right here when you're done. By the way, notification alerts, yes or no, that's so you get emails about updates. So say yes, right? So you can get emails about updates. It's good to put your PayPal account in here, whatever it is, right? And the reason for your PayPal, by the way, it's probably thinking email. The reason for your PayPal account in here is so that we can possibly pay you, right? Because when we get our payments, we're going to pay you. Now, if you cannot take payments by PayPal and you need them some other way, like if you're out of the country and you need a bank wire, we'll work with you on that. All right. There are a few guys who do. There are bank wires that we do. Skype. You can put your Skype in just in case we go to have quick chat about whatever. Account ID. I don't think you need to mess with that at all. All right. So everything else is just what it is. All right. Now go to LP. So there you go. Update. Okay. Like I said, your PayPal account is so that we can pay you. Now go to LP websites, right? That's what's available right now. You can claim any website and go through the process of actually getting it. All of them right now, all the shares are 250 bucks. There are 100 shares per industry. One really quick way to do your searching. See how it shows like 50? You can do 100 or 150. You scroll down, it's got like, whoa, however many entries, right? One really good way to see what's going on is just use the search field. Say you want to look for flooding websites. Start typing flood. It'll immediately show you flooding websites and it'll give you the URLs. Notice how we're just doing this with the URL because again, you're not really buying a website. So for the organization, we just said, okay, this is the flooding website project. So it's flood-website.com/ and there are 100 shares. So it's 1 through 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They are all the same thing. The website type is shared. It's a shared project. It's tier 2, which really just means it's 250 bucks each. Okay. And it does not matter which of these shares you get. It doesn't matter if you get 10 or 9 or 22, because they're all equal in value and they're all going to get the same payouts, just however many shares are owned. Okay. So it doesn't matter which ones you get. You don't need to get the first one or the last one. You can get whatever one you want, whatever ones you want. You got to unfortunately get them one at a time. I have guys who do buy like 10, one at a time. Sorry about that. We don't have a bulk buy method. But by the way, you can of course spread out all your payments for the different industries. You want to get vested in the different industries and see what hits first, second, third? Not a bad idea. So you can do flood, you can do fire, okay? And it's showing you the fire repair industry, all the fire websites, okay? You can do mold for all the mold websites. These are separate, by the way, flood, mold, fire, HVAC, air ducting. And if you say, why are they separate? Because we found that they aren't always the same thing at all. Okay, flood, probably going to have mold after it. HVAC, probably going to have mold along the way. And then mold just happens whether somebody has a flood or a fire. They'll be looking for mold because they got mold behind their walls for any just humidity outside. So, and whatever material their walls made out of or their home. So these industries, they overlap to some degree, and we can make websites that show the overlap. But also for Google's sake, we want to make websites that focus on each individual thing specifically because they'll rank higher within their industry. Okay? And they'll also be less confusing to people, right? Somebody does a mold and they see flood and mold, flood control, mold remediation. They might think, well, I don't know if that's what I'm looking for because I didn't have a flood. Is there a mold website only around here somewhere? You know, so we want to make it all, and we're going to make it all. Okay. So there you have it. All right. We're going to push these things up in the air. There are more pieces to this. I'm going to explain it in the bonuses video. Okay. Because there's a lot happening here. Really cool. Okay. So there's flood, fire, mold, HVAC. What else do we have? Then you can see that all the HVAC positions. Okay. And keep in mind, We're not going about these blind, really. We're not experts in these industries, but our dispatch center is teaching us what we need to know, showing us model websites so we understand what we're supposed to put out, and telling us exactly all the service areas that they support, that they have techs, partnerships with techs in. So all of this is happening at lightning speed. It's really, really cool. All right, so there you go. Get any combination of these, right? And obviously, the more you get, the better off you're going to be for a lot of reasons, including the bonuses. So I'm going to step over and break into the bonuses in the separate video because, again, we're 50 minutes in on this one. I'm going to go ahead and just leave that so that you guys know what's going on. Now, let me just make sure I covered it all. You would sign up here, log in here as an LPE owner, okay? Click the LPE websites link in the left margin to see what's available to claim. All the positions with the same value. Get positions in any combination of industries or focus on one. It's totally your call. You'll see your positions added to your dashboard. They'll start to show up on your dashboard, obviously, as you pick them up, okay? All right. Okay, it's doing that. So as soon as we launch, we'll create the private news update to get you going and give you access to the visitor stats and the dispatch center login. You guys get to see what's happening, okay? You guys get to see the statistics in real time, day by day, anytime, day or night, whenever, okay? 80% of our earnings get split evenly across the owned positions. 10% is reserved to pay the backlinking crew for the website that they're assigned, right? So when a guy signs up as a backlink guy and grabs a website, okay, then they get 10% on top of their share of this, okay? That is, so they don't even need to own anything. They can just run with this. But the reason to bother owning this is because then you're earning off other people's activities as well as just the whole of it coming up. It's really good to be in the position group, whether you do the backlinking or not. Then 10% for house so that we can keep everything going. Why is this a great business? Because you only have one simple job. Get people to call the phone number. So get a website to rank that we already did for you, and we can control the SEO on for you so you don't have to do anything with it. You don't need to go code anything. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to set up forwarding phone numbers or anything, okay? All you do is just claim a website, run out and backlink it. Now, if you want to get access to the admin panel, go in and make adjustments to the pages to improve SEO or to launch more pages for more of the cities that are available to you, more of the services and keywords, we give you that right, okay? So you can certainly get access. Now, otherwise, you don't actually need to do anything unless you want the extra income stream as a backlinker, okay? Beyond that, just let us work and drive everything forward as we go. You got the calculator. After we close out the position offers, we'll let you get in your bonuses and more bonus stuff. Okay, I'm going to explain what's going on with all that in the next video. In the meantime, now you know what you're doing here. Leap in, grab positions anytime you want, and trust me, the bonuses are awesome. You know, whether you know about them yet or second, doesn't matter. It's up to you. You're going to love them. They're great. We made them different for everyone since everyone has different interests. All right.